Greetings, students. This could very well be our last Zoom video that I would perform for you. I want to thank everybody that attended yesterday's live Zoom because it yielded a few questions that I felt I needed to do this video for. So, with further ado, you should be looking at the diet analysis part 4, change plan of action summary and evaluation. That is worth 50 points. It's one of the assignments that's worth the most amount of points through the entire course, and the reason for that is that it's bringing all of the information from all of the other parts of your diet analysis together into this experience where you're going to be outlining and evaluating your diet. So when I look at this, what I want to point out to you is that I want you to follow this format when you do your posting. So when you do your posting, what I'm looking for you to do is in this first section here, I'm needing you to find the problem areas that were in your personal reports and what you've learned, because this is nutrition and health. And so you can put whatever the top 3 things were that you noticed, but I want you to pick 3 things that was specific to your diet and health that you have learned from doing this diet analysis report and or by taking this class and looking at the different chapters. So I'm going to give you an example. So if I was doing this, one of the things that I see a lot of students do when I look at their diet is of the top 3, what they look at, remember when we covered the acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges and the appropriates that you needed for carbohydrate, protein, and fat? Those aren't oftentimes in balance. And so students sometimes can look at that as an area that they want to improve. So for number 1, I could put in here that I was over in carbohydrates and fats areas above the acceptable macronutrient distribution range is typically what happens, or people are very, very low in them as well. That could, not in fat, but usually in carbohydrate. And then you would explain, you kind of have to explain why that is, but that's coming next. Then my second one could be that a lot of you notated in your vitamins and mineral area that you didn't meet the requirements for a majority. So you might want to put here that you were especially low in calcium and especially low in vitamin D. Maybe those were the ones that stuck out to you because you learned so much about the fact that our bodies need calcium because our heart needs to pump every second of every day. And if we're not getting the calcium from our diet, then we have to take it from our bone stores. And when we do that, then we're taking it from our savings account, and we only build bone mass up until age 30. So you guys want to have the storage capacity and a savings built up before you turn 30. So that might have been your interest here, okay? So those are the top 3 areas that you looked at and was like, whoa, I had no idea. So now in this area here, what you're going to do with these 3 things that you talked about, what are some changes that you can do to address these 3 items up here? So if I went again with my over in fats and carbohydrate from my acceptable macronutrient distribution range, my first one here might be something about limiting my processed foods like refined sugars and increasing fruits and vegetables instead. So saying, okay, I shouldn't be eating as much processed refined sugar, and I should get it naturally from fruits and vegetables. Or limiting my fast food intake would be another one that I could work right there. This number 2, I want to increase my calcium. So I'm going to increase with calcium-rich foods. And same thing I could do down here, increasing with vitamin D food, enriched food, or foods that have high in vitamin D. However, if we added into the mix for these 2, if I happen to be lactose intolerant, this one is going to be a challenge because it's going to have to be fortified in there. And then same thing with these products. There's not that many food products that have vitamin D, mainly dairy or mushrooms. So if I don't like mushrooms and I'm lactose intolerant, then I'm going to really have a hard time getting vitamin D. But we learned that you can get vitamin D from the sun. So I'm also going to say it's summertime. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going to go out in the sun and get a little bit more vitamin D from the sun exposure as well. So maybe those are my options there. Okay, so now that I have those, what I want you to do is, this is the written area where you're actually going to summarize what you've learned. And that's that, you know, aha moment about these areas here that you saw. And now you're going to explain to me how you're going to make some changes that can outline a nutrition plan that's realistic to the dietary changes. So, for example, everybody wants to increase fruits and vegetables, and I mentioned in my first one here that I would decrease processed foods and I would increase fruits and vegetables. But how am I going to do that? Everybody knows we should, everybody wants to, but yet we don't. So we need to outline a nutrition plan that's realistic. So what am I going to do? What would I say? I would probably say something like the fact that when I go to the grocery store, the first thing I'm going to start doing is buying more fresh fruit and vegetables so I have them on hand. That's a realistic plan. That's something that I can do. And I would also probably add in there, I'd buy seasonal so it's cheaper, right? Because we learned that. And then now I could say something about my breakfast. So if I was looking at my breakfast meal and I looked at my diet analysis, and if my diet analysis revealed that on the days that I had breakfast, I ate Fruit Loops, I could say now in my nutrition plan here that for 2 to 3 of the 7 days that I would not eat Fruit Loops, and that I would replace my Fruit Loops with a cereal that's higher in fiber and not as highly processed, that has more than 5 grams of fiber per serving. So I would go to the grocery store and I would read the labels on the different types of cereal that I like and find one that has 5 grams or more of fiber per serving. And I would choose that cereal. I would buy it, and then I would have that at least 2 to 3 times in a week. So see, I'm not overcommitting myself. I'm not saying 7 days of the week, I'm going to try this new cereal that I may or may not really like. So this is the point of making realistic dietary changes. So you're going to look at each of these 3 and kind of explain them as an outline. And if you're able to do that, then what this tells me, and the reason why we have this assignment, is that we know that you understood the content that was in the course. So it's understanding the course content, looking at your diet, and then interpreting those results, and now taking what you learned in the class and applying it to how you might better handle your dietary changes to make realistic goals. We don't want to set goals that we can't achieve. We want to look at our diet and see how can we make changes incrementally that are going to make some foundational changes in our health outcomes for lifelong. And that's the purpose of this course. So hopefully this gives you a better idea of what we're looking for when I want you to post these things. Okay, so if you have any other questions, I am still here. I know that things are very, very busy, and I know it's a lot every day. There's something due, but I'm hanging in here just like you. I'm very proud of you all, and I want you to, finish strong here. So I'm around if you need to have questions answered. Put them in the question cafe or send me an email. And then if we did need to, I could also do a personal Zoom. But I think that this should probably help conclude the last assignment, or the large portion point assignment that you have, which is, a big part of your grade. So hope this helps. And again, if I don't get an opportunity to talk to you or see you virtually, then it's been a pleasure having you in my class. So again, thank you so much. And I hope that you've learned something. And I hope this particular assignment really sheds some light on that for you. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.